what's up, guys? We hope you've had a great holiday. And for many of you, you may have struggled. And I'm not talking about emotional struggle. I'm talking about eating, old habits, knee-jerk reaction, cannot resist. If that's you, you may be spending time beating yourself up. And we just want to talk to you about some tips and tricks and tools to get you back on track. It's one of the number one things that I have heard about the holidays is that people gain weight. And then they spend a year trying to lose it. And then the next year comes and the same thing happens. So if you've fallen off the wagon, Don, let's talk about some of our most effective strategies, shall we? And actually, it's so funny because we've known each other for like 2 decades. And I have definitely called you and said, oh my gosh, haven't I? Do you remember? I mean,
I think it's
10 years
something
of our friendship.
yeah, I think it's something we all confront. As you started out, it's a behavior thing. And it doesn't really help to beat yourself up about it. You basically need to just get back to structure and some discipline. And, I always tell people that, get back to eating normal meals, get your breakfast back in shape, get your protein, get your carbs down in control. I think everybody struggles with carbohydrates in the holiday season. Get those back under control, get your vegetables and, your fiber back into your other meals and try to wean those desserts and sweets and things back out of the diet really quickly.
Yes. And okay, so number one, I am going to have to say, do not keep it in your house. It goes in the garbage. It goes out of the house. You get rid of it, give it away. You have to create an environment that is conducive for success. And this goes in any way, shape, or form in everything that you guys do, whether it's working, whether it's education. You have to make it an environment where the pitfalls are not present. So essentially, you augment your willpower through creating an environment that facilitates success. So that's number one, augmenting your environment, getting rid of anything sweet. And of course, the cognitive aspect, the harder you are on yourself. So there's, it's interesting. And I talk about this a lot in my own personal life and really with my friends is I feel as if many people are very soft. So there's a softness and there's nothing wrong with that. And let me rephrase that. There's a softness and we often need to be harder on ourselves. Mm-hmm. However, if you are already feeling down, there is like this balance that happens that there's components of your life and your mental fortitude or the narrative that you're telling yourself that perhaps you're not being tough enough on yourself. Yeah. And then there's the flip side to that where you're kind of at a impaired state. And then when you are even more negative with yourself, it doesn't create growth. It actually keeps you paralyzed.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think you have to be hard enough on yourself to be motivated, but if you're too hard, there's a defeatist attitude that you won't do anything. I think another thing to keep in mind is that there's a huge amount of research that to lose weight or get back, you have to correct the diet. And I think one of the mistakes that people do right after the first is they think, well, I'm going to correct this in the gym. And exercise, I think Gabrielle and I would immediately agree is really important, but it's hard to correct whatever you've done in the last 2 weeks with just exercise. You have to fix the diet part. Get rid of those snacks, get back to eating habits, get your calories back, and then the exercise is beneficial on top of it. But you can't correct a bad diet you can't outrun a bad diet. You can't correct a bad diet with exercise.
Yes. So you can. So I guess essentially what we're saying is, that you can't out train a bad diet.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. It's essential. I think you and I would totally agree and both personally practice a lot of exercise, but you still have to change the diet. You have to correct the calorie balance or you just can't do it with exercise. You can't exercise enough.
You cannot out exercise a
Yeah.
bad diet,
I
period.
mean, you'd have to be doing 3 hours of exercise a day at fairly high intensity to correct that kind of a calorie problem.
Right. So that's not a great strategy, guys. I would consider something else, like get your nutrition together,
Yeah.
get your training together. And now with that, and then really get your mindset together. So you've got those
Yeah.
three things. You've got your nutrition, your training, and your mindset. So you've got to get right back on the wagon. The longer you contemplate, you can't wait for motivation. You must execute immediately. You have plans in place.
Yeah.
If you wait for motivation, then that doesn't always come, and it also wavers.
Yeah.
So commitment happens first. You execute based on commitment. You don't execute based on motivation.
And
So,
I think one of the other things that we fall in the trap during this season is there's just snacks around. There's foods around, and people graze, and it's cold in much of the country. We're inside. It's dark. People have a tendency to drift towards snacks, and I think that's probably, as you said, get those foods out of the house. Get back to your meal eating habits, and avoid those in between places, which are just extra calories.
right. Couldn't agree more. So, you guys, I hope you had a great holiday. Get back on it. Don't beat yourself up. This is the time to just execute and share your comments, likes. If you like this video, please share it. We know that your time is really valuable, and we just are here to provide content for you so that you can learn and really be the best version of yourself. So, thanks again.